Is it rolling?
Mm.
It's rolling. Hello and welcome to today's video where we are going to be going over peanuts and peanut butter. So recently, Justin and I have been making our own peanut butter, regardless of the fact that we have this Jif peanut butter right here. This is something that we bought quite a while ago, and once we actually read the ingredients, we decided that we would no longer be buying peanut butter and we would be making our own, which is fairly simple. So I'll be going over what that looks like later on in the video. But first, I'd like to go over the price of some of the peanut options that we have available to us in order to make the peanut butter instead of buying it at the store. Because even though it does have some additional work in it, I'm very curious to see how the price breakdown will be and comparing it to buying just plain old peanut butter or buying the peanuts and then making, like I said, the peanut butter. So, like I mentioned earlier, don't love the ingredients that are in this. So obviously the first ingredient is peanuts or roasted peanuts. Then there is sugar, which you'll see when we make our peanut butter. You don't have to add sugar, and it does taste better if you do, but you can also replace that with things like honey, which I personally like a whole lot more, so it doesn't have any refined sugar in it. But then it contains 2% or less of molasses, which we don't include in ours, hydrogenated vegetable oils, which is either or both rapeseed and soybean, which we do not include. If we add any oil to it, we add olive oil. And then it also has mono and diglycerides and salt. We do like adding salt to ours because it makes it taste so much better. But this as a whole, I'm going to sneakily look at our lovely list that I have on my iPad behind this giant bag of empty peanuts, or a giant bag, or an empty bag of peanuts. I can't speak. But this jar of Jif peanut butter is $5.29, and it's for a 28-ounce jar. So you are getting 1 pound of peanut butter for $3.02. Now, how does that compare with the peanuts? It'll be very, very close to the price of the actual peanut butter, and I will measure it out later. But for this giant bag of sacks, technically we got it for free. My sister-in-law gave it to us, so we didn't have to pay for it. But if we were to buy it, it would be $18.99 for this 5-pound bag, which comes out to $3.80 a pound, which is already more expensive than the peanut butter. So in the future, we probably won't buy this for ourselves just because of that price difference. And these peanuts are not shelled. So you already have to shell all of these peanuts in order to get to them. And then that's going to decrease the amount of weight that you get. So that's going to cost even more per pound of peanuts compared to the peanut butter. This, that's really loud. The Hampton Farms peanuts is much more affordable per pound. So this bag costs $2.99 and it's a pound and a half. So that means it's 2 pounds for the peanuts. But similar to the Saks peanuts, you have to shell them. So I am going to be testing how long it's going to take me to shell these peanuts and then how much yield I actually get from the bag in and of itself, and then compare it to the final product of peanut butter. So this will be a huge part of the process today. Then we also got this lovely bag of peanuts, which honestly we'll be buying a lot more in the future because the price for this was $11.36, and we got 4.835 pounds of peanuts, and it comes out to $2.35 per pound. So this is much more cost effective than this one, but it's not as cheap as this one. But then on top of that, how many times can I say but? I don't have to work for it. These are already shelled compared to these. And I will also mention that these are not roasted, these are blanched, but they are raw, so we can add the amount of salt that we want to them. So this is an option for us, but this is at a bulk food store that's about 2 hours away from us, so we don't go there all that often. But when we do, we're probably going to get these peanuts to save us some work. And then this is a bag of peanuts that we actually got from Azure Standard in our first ever order. And they are organic raw peanuts. So we also may be getting these. I have not opened these up to see if they have the like brown pieces over the peanuts or not, and that will determine whether or not I really want to purchase these in the future. But these are organic, which I may end up preferring, and I'm trying to eat more organic things to begin with. But this is the most expensive option out of all of these per pound, because this was $9.16 for 2 pounds of peanuts. So that comes to $4.58 per pound. So definitely the most expensive option out of all of these, but they're organic and they're also already shelled. So next I will, like I said, be shelling these peanuts, see the difference in weight compared to the unshelled and shelled. I'll be making the peanuts. I hope you enjoy today's video.
Could I just switch the bowls? Yeah, but I'm not that smart. I only dropped 2 halves, so I'm not going to complain. We end up getting 505 grams, or 1 pound and 1.8 ounces. I'm so coordinated. Look how nice that is. 1 pound and almost 2 ounces.
All right, so now that that process is done, we can get into how much everything costs. And just a reminder that initially I compared different types of peanuts. So I ended up crushing up the Hampton peanuts, I think they were called, or Hampton Farms peanuts. And those were $2.99 for 1.5 pounds. But because the shells came off, we didn't necessarily know how much it was going to cost for the peanuts in and of itself. But we found out after shelling all of the peanuts, we ended up yielding 505 grams, which is equal to 1 pound and 1.8 ounces. That means that it cost $2.65 per pound of peanuts, which then makes it the second cheapest option. So if you remember the E&S sales, those peanuts ended up costing $2.35 a pound, and so now the other ones are now $2.65 compared to the $2 per pound that it was before shelling them. So we ended up losing 3.2 grams of shells, or of the peanuts in shells. I don't know. We lost, there were about oh my goodness. There were about 3.2 grams of shells that were in the package. So ultimately, mostly peanuts. And I would even say that the peanuts that I shelled had really, really hard shells. So I'm hoping that maybe there will be even a higher yield next time we use those peanuts. But then also, most importantly, how long did that whole shelling process take me? And that took about an hour. I shouldn't say about an hour. I timed this, so it was exact 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 50 seconds. And then the whole process of actually making the peanut butter and putting it in here was 20 minutes, just so you're aware of that as well. So about an hour and a half during the process. I will say the 20 minutes of using the food processor to make the peanut butter, that isn't necessarily active time. You can be doing dishes and things of that nature because most of it is just blending the peanuts up, which you're not doing. The machine's doing the work for you. But we can't just take into account the price per peanuts because we did add a few other ingredients. So I wanted to include those as well because they are a couple of cents, not anything drastic. I'm not counting how much salt I put in there because it was quite literally just a little sprinkle, and I shouldn't even say sprinkle, it was a little pinch. And considering salt is fairly cheap, I figured that that was not necessary to calculate. But with that being said, I'll start with the olive oil. So I have no idea how to pronounce this, but it's an organic olive oil, and it costs $15.48 for this 34 fluid ounce bottle. And according to the nutrition facts, that means there are 67 tablespoons in there, which means it's 201 teaspoons. I ended up using 2 teaspoons for the recipe of peanut butter, which means that I used 15.4 cents worth of olive oil in the peanut butter. Then moving on to the honey, this jar cost $17.87, and we got this from Azure. It's wonderful wildflower raw honey. I cannot rave about this enough, and this will definitely be a future purchase as well. Just to throw that caveat in there, not even a caveat, throw that comment in there. And so that, like I said, this cost $17.87 for 3 pounds. According to the nutrition facts, there are 64 tablespoons in here, which equate to 192 teaspoons. And we used 2 teaspoons of this as well, so that was 18.6 cents. So together, these two combined cost 34 cents to add to the peanut butter. And since the peanuts cost $2.99, the whole process cost, or I shouldn't say the whole process, all of the ingredients cost $3.33. Well, we can't directly compare this to the $5.29 jar of Jif because they are clearly different sizes. So I ended up measuring the weight of this as well. So this ended up yielding 1 pound, 1.8 ounces, which is kind of funny. That was the exact amount of weight that the peanuts were. So with like just the leftovers that I couldn't scrape out of the food processor plus these, they ended up equaling out to the same in weight, which I thought was kind of funny. But like I said, 1 pound and 1.8 ounces. And so since that all costs $3.33, the price per pound is $2.99. Which, if you remember, the Jif peanut butter costs $3.02 per pound. So I saved 3 cents per pound and used 1 hour and 30 minutes of my life in order to get this homemade peanut butter. I will say I do think it's worth it though. Definitely not worth 3 cents an hour on my labor, but it has all the ingredients that I want in it, and I know it's healthy and good for me. One other thing that I'll also mention, I know this isn't necessarily the best comparison in the world because Jif is name brand and there are so many other non-brand or non-name brand peanut butter, but I haven't been able to find any that are as good as my homemade peanut butter, both in taste and ingredients. So that's one of the reasons why I will no longer be buying peanut butter from the store, and I will be making it at home even though it takes me an hour and a half in order to make. Then I also wanted to give you guys a comparison for what it would have costed me if I would have used the peanuts from Azure Standard instead, which were organic. So those were $4.58 per pound for the peanuts, and that would have equated to $4.63 per pound of peanut butter. So I think that may end up justifying the cost difference for me to end up buying those types of peanuts in the future. Plus, it's going to take out an hour of work for me, not needing to shell the peanuts. So that is probably my plan going forward. I think it's not too much more expensive, and considering it'll only then take me 20 minutes in order to just put everything in the food processor and blend it up, to me, it's worth the better ingredients for not that much extra work or money. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I hope you join me next time.